Hello everybody. Let me know if you can see me, hear me if you're watching live. Let me know where you are in the world. So today I'm going to talk about this topic. Why have symptoms got worse and what can you do about it if you have ME, CFS, long COVID related conditions? So if you're experiencing one of these conditions, including fibromyalgia POTS, and symptoms have flared up, this video is for you. I know it can be triggering when your body suddenly feels like it's shutting down again. But today I want to invite you to look at things in a way that can help you heal gently and sustainable. I invite you to look at crashes, setbacks in a way that's going to support you. So let's talk about what it really means when symptoms get worse and what you can do about it. So if you don't know me, my name's Simon Pimenta. I had ME, CFS and fibromyalgia for about 8-9 years. At one point I couldn't walk for 1 minute, but I got back to work, got back to life, was able to play sport again. And I did get an injury which has slowed me down a bit, but life is still amazing. And I share what I've learned. What really helped me specifically was mind-body approaches, including particular form of brain training. And I create lots of video content to help you move towards your goals. Okay, so there's a lot of videos on my channel, and I create the videos that I wish I could have had access to when I had ME/CFS. So there's no charge for that. You can just watch all that content. Obviously, if you would like more help, then I'm happy to have a chat with you. So let's get stuck into it. And if you have just joined, feel free to say hello, tell me where you are in the world. It's always nice to know. So here's what usually happens. Let me know if this is familiar to you. You're doing okay, maybe even having a good day, and then suddenly you experience strong symptoms or sensations, as I call them. I use the word sensations as it tends to be less emotive. But you're experiencing exhaustion, you're feeling foggy, you're experiencing pain, maybe you're overstimulated, maybe you're a bit scared, and your mind starts racing. You're saying to yourself, what did I do wrong? Did I push too hard? I keep making these mistakes. Am I ever going to get better? And before we know it, we're stuck in panic, fear, self-blame. Let me know if you've done that. That's certainly something I've done at times when I had ME, CFS and fibromyalgia. And that's on top of the physical sensations that you're dealing with. But consider this. What if it isn't a failure? What if it's a message? Now, obviously, always use your judgment. If you're in a situation where you think it might be useful to talk to your doctor, to go to A&E, then do so. So you have to be the judge of that. So the first thing I want to talk about is reframing, the way we think about what's going on in our body. I talk about this acronym FMFA, okay? Focus, meaning, feeling, action. And I have made a video where I talk about this in more depth. But first of all, consider, what are you focusing on? We want to become aware of how we respond to experiencing strong sensations. Okay, we want to look out for patterns. Okay, so what are you focusing on? What meaning are you giving this experience? And consider that what we focus on, the meaning we give an experience, affects how we're going to feel, and it's going to affect our mindset, the action we take. Okay, so I've given this example many times before, but I'm sure you've had those experiences where you experience dialing up of strong sensations. You focus on them, you catastrophize, you're in your head, you're analyzing, what did I do? You're interpreting, you're saying this means I'm never going to get well. Okay, you're judging yourself. I keep doing this. You catastrophize, you're ruminating. All right, so I did that many times. And then there was a time where I went clubbing. I rested for a few days, went clubbing for a few hours. I had strong sensations afterwards, but I was lying in bed focusing on all the fun I'd had, all the nice conversations I had with people. And that was very different to focusing on the symptoms and catastrophizing. Okay, so just be aware of that. What are you saying to yourself? Oh, I've got things wrong again. I'm never going to learn. I'm never recover. That's just going to ramp up the stress in your body, and that's going to slow down the healing process. So we need to change our language. As I say, people use the word crash, quite dramatic. I remember being on a train and someone was on the phone saying, "Oh, it's been a total train wreck." And I thought that's pretty dramatic language. What they meant was the train was delayed. Okay, there was no train wreck. No one was harmed. Okay, so the word crash is pretty strong. It's implied in that word is a prediction that I'm going to be experiencing these symptoms for some time to come. It's going to take a long time to recover. Actually, as I say, it's just ramping up the stress and slowing down the body's healing. So you could say, right now I'm experiencing strong symptoms or strong sensations. As I say, that word is less emotive, I think, because we can have good sensations as well as sensations we'd prefer not to have. And there's no prediction there. We're just talking about what we're experiencing in this moment. Does that make sense? Let me know in the chat. Give me a thumbs up if that makes sense to you, that we want to aim not to make predictions of what, because we haven't got a crystal ball. We don't know what's going to happen, but we do know we can influence the body's healing by what we're doing in our head. Okay, we know that the mind can turn on the stress response, and the stress response puts the brakes on the body's healing processes. Okay, so consider that these sensations, strong symptoms, don't mean you've failed. They mean your body is still communicating with you. That means you're still connected with your body, and that's good. Okay, your job isn't to avoid every symptom. Okay, as I say, when I went clubbing, I was kind of inviting symptoms, but I talk about the fact that your emotional brain wants you to be safe, but it also wants you to be fulfilled. So if I could have stayed safe, I could have gone to bed early that night and I would have been safe, but my emotional brain also wants me to be fulfilled, to have some fun. And this is something I've been talking a lot about in the resilience group coaching call this morning. We were talking about the need for some fun, some stimulation in the right amount. Okay, so your job is not to avoid every symptom. Your job is to keep building trust with your body one moment at a time. So every time we experience a dial-up of sensations, it's a chance to go deeper, to understand yourself better, to practice meeting your needs fully in each moment, even in this moment, and to heal in a way that's sustainable. Okay, so the second thing I want to think about is understanding your emotional brain. So from a mind-body perspective, your symptoms are not random. They're not punishments. They're messages from the emotional brain. And they often show up when we're not really tuned in to what we truly need. So think about it this way. As I mentioned, the emotional brain is always scanning the environment, checking, is what we're doing, what we're thinking of doing, are we going to be safe? Are we going to be fulfilled? And when we ignore our emotional needs, like support, boundaries, emotional expression, rest, Claire Caldwell, who created the Mind Body Reconnect, which is something I'm trained in, talks about the fact she has an afternoon siesta. That's meeting a need. Okay, the emotional brain is sending signals. First of all, it sends emotions like anxiety, frustration, irritability, sadness. Let me know in the chat. Have you ever been lying in bed and you feel frustrated? That's your emotional brain saying what you're doing right now isn't meeting your needs. And lying in bed frustrated isn't going to help you heal. So you might actually just spend some time, doesn't have to be long, could be 1 minute, 5 minutes, doing something fun. Again, you have to use your judgment. There were times when I just actually did need to rest initially because I had no energy, but actually no one had explained to me that lying in bed stressing wasn't going to support my healing, and I needed to allow my body to heal. And I could do that by practicing certain techniques. I've created a really simple technique called the timeout relaxation. And it's a way of just giving your mind, the bit of your mind that tends to catastrophize and overanalyze, a little task to do. And by giving that, there's a Buddhist monk who calls it the monkey mind that goes over and over things. And by giving the monkey mind a little task, the mind's occupied, and so the body can actually start to move into a state of nervous system regulation. Now, if we don't listen, the emotional brain turns up the volume. Firstly, through stronger emotions, but then through symptoms. Not to hurt us, but to actually take care of us. It's a way of saying something needs your attention. So if you're experiencing those strong sensations, it might be the body's way of saying, I need you to pay attention. Slow down, listen. Okay, so step 3. So how to listen. So what do you do if those sensations flare? Step 1, pause. Okay, just pause. You could do this right now if you like. You could close your eyes for a moment. Obviously, only close your eyes if it's safe to do so. So I invite you to put both hands on your heart, or one hand on your heart, one hand on your belly. And just take a breath. Just for a moment, notice the movement of your belly as you breathe in, as you breathe out. As you breathe out, just let your out breath be a little longer than your in breath. So that's step 1, just pause. Step 2 is to get curious. Just tune into your body. Ask yourself, what sensations do I notice right now? And just notice, without analysis, interpretation, or judgment. And that ability to notice what we're experiencing without analysis, without interpretation, without judgment, is a superpower. Because when you're able to do that, it means you're not getting into your head, catastrophizing, ramping up your system. So get curious. Ask what sensations are around. Step 3 is to ask yourself, what emotions are around right now? Again, noticing without analysis, interpretation, or judgment. And you can acknowledge those feelings. We often ignore, suppress, repress our emotions because they feel uncomfortable. We get into our head. But that means they stay in the body. We repress them, suppress them. This causes dysregulation. It can cause tightness in the muscles, and that can affect the blood flow. So just notice what emotions are around. I might feel frustrated, overwhelmed. Just recognize that there's a part of you that feels that way. Okay? I talk about the fact that there is a part of you that is wise. There's a part of you that's wounded, and it's that wounded part that can start developing these patterns of analysing, overanalyzing, catastrophizing, ruminating. And if we recognise there's just a part of us that's feeling that way, we can step out and observe that part. from that place of wisdom, that place of calm, that place of love. And you can give that part of you, that wounded part, some tender, loving care, TLC. Now, what I've just taught you is the first step in a very simple technique, which is part of the mind-body reconnect. And the next step, step 2 and step 3, are all about processing, making sense of those sensations and emotions so that we can identify what we need. And when we do that and take appropriate action, then actually the emotional brain says, oh, you're listening, I can turn down the volume, I can make those sensations, emotions disappear, and you can start to feel good. Now, you've had probably experiences where you've done that, where you've listened to your emotional brain. You might not realize that that's what you were doing, and you took appropriate action and you felt better as a result. Okay, so this is what this approach is all about, and it can result in a dramatic shift. Sometimes it's gentle and gradual, sometimes it's dramatic. Okay, so section 4, I want to talk about some examples that you might experience. Let me know in the chat if you can resonate with any of these. So let's say you experience sensations after socializing. Now, it might be the conclusion you draw is, oh, I did too much talking. Actually, it might be that there's something else going on. It might be that your nervous system is reacting to something someone said. Maybe there was a judgment. Maybe there were some boundaries that got crossed. I went out for dinner with some friends the other night and I said something, and a bit later on one of my friends made a comment that I think was directed at that, but what I'd said, and it was like he was criticising what I said, but not doing it in a direct way. He wasn't disagreeing with me. And actually I would have felt more comfortable if he'd just said, actually, I don't agree with what you've just said. So I felt a little bit, I was just aware of that. It wasn't a big deal, but in the past I would have been probably triggered by that. I was just like, that's interesting. Maybe I'll talk to him another time. But just be aware of that. Actually, we can sometimes draw the conclusion, but it's a wrong conclusion. I talk too much, and that's why I'm feeling tired. Actually, might be something else. Or let's say you are having a good day, and you've experienced strong sensations. It might be you were feeling good, you were trying to play catch up after periods of low levels of activity. And maybe there was some stress. It might have been subconscious. There's a book by a chap called David Robson called The Expectation Effect. And he talks about the fact, the research that shows our expectations can affect how we feel. And our expectations can be conscious, but they can also be subconscious. So if someone, let's say, decides to go for a walk, they might consciously feel some anxiety because they're stepping out of their comfort zone, but some of it might be subconscious. And they might feel anxious before the activity, during the activity, and after the activity, both consciously and subconsciously. And that might contribute to what they're calling post-exertional malaise. However, it's not just the activity, it was all those additional things, the stress beforehand. It might be the stress during, stress after, might even be the memories they had. They're recalling past memories, and that's creating some tension in their body. Okay, so if you notice sensations after you've had a good day, just consider these things. Okay, might be that you pushed yourself a little bit too hard. Maybe there's a part of you that still feels you need to prove you're okay. And I definitely did that at times. Let me know if that's something you did. when actually what I needed, and maybe what you need, was to go gently, to pause, to tune in. It can be really powerful to just really listen to those subtle messages. I remember a time not so long ago where I was out with some friends in a pub, and I was quite tired because I had a busy week and stuff. And at a certain point, I could just feel my body saying, it's time to go now. And it was kind of early. It was about 9:30. We met about 5:30 and stuff. But there was a bit of me thinking, oh, that's a bit lame. So I stayed a bit longer. But actually, when I got to bed, I just did feel a little bit more tired than I would have done had I gone to bed, left earlier. And I remember another time when I was just recovering from flu, I went up to a bar in London, and that time I did listen to my body, and it actually felt so nurturing to really just listen to my body saying, okay, it's time to go now. And I was like, yeah, I've had a nice time. And actually, it was nice to get into bed still feeling good. As I say, I was recovering from kind of flu-like symptoms. So, fifth thing I want to talk about, how to respond differently. So it's okay to feel your feelings. It's okay to validate your feelings. Say, yeah, this is how I'm feeling. I am feeling afraid, and that's okay. Because when we do that, that part of us, that wounded part, feels heard. And when it feels heard, having probably had lots of experience of not feeling heard, it can start to relax. And I've taken people through a process where they allow that wounded part, the frightened part, to speak. And at a certain point, ask them, how do you feel? And they say, oh, actually, I feel more relaxed. I feel energized. Okay? So it's okay to validate your feelings. And then it's useful to ask, what do I need right now? That part might need reassurance. It might be that you have a need to say no to something. It might be a need for connection. It might be that need to just pause and tune in. Got a message from D. Shepherd saying, holy moly, I made it. My first day I've been able to wake up at 11 a.m. instead of 2:30 a.m. and feel awake. Listening to you daily. Been severely ill with ME, CFS since 2013. Sorry to hear that. Thank you, Simon. You are very welcome. And nice to have you join us. So thanks for saying hello. And I see there's a few more people, so do feel free to say hello in the chat. Lovely to hear from you, know where you are in the world. Okay. So, question, what do I need right now? Number one, let's allow ourselves to feel our feelings. Ask ourselves, what do I need right now? And next thing is to consider what that might be in terms of safety. Okay, how could I create a bit more safety? Might be listening to a calming voice or meditation, wrapping yourself in a blanket, talking to someone who helps you feel grounded. I can think of a few friends who, when I've needed some support, I know who to go to because they support me. Shiria says, greetings from Chicago. Hi there, nice to have you join us, and nice to know where you are in the world, in the windy city. So, might be that you can do some journaling without judgment. Okay, so got a question. I know why I'm having a dip. We're adopting a child, so going through the process is very stressful. Even good stress makes my body react. How do I approach this? So that's understandable. It's a big process. It's an important process you're going through. Very, very simple principles. If we've got a feeling, it's useful to consider, what is it I'm saying to myself at some level? Okay, so you don't have to let me know in the chat, but if you do want to, then feel free to, Kerry. Just what do you think's going on in your head? What am I saying to yourself? I'll give you an example. It's a very different situation, but I'm going on. I'm traveling next week, and in the past, I would always get stressed. I'd be packing on the morning. I'd be feeling a bit stressed. And one time I was going on holiday with a friend, and I thought, you know what? I always get stressed, and always things work out. What is it I'm saying to myself that means I'm feeling a bit stressed? And I realized at some level it wasn't conscious, but at some level I was saying to myself, something's going to go wrong. I'm going to forget my passport. I'm going to lose my passport. I'm going to lose my money. I'm going to lose my ticket. And obviously, everything's electronic. I always have a backup. I have my ticket on my phone, but I also print out a ticket, so I have a backup. And by recognizing what I was saying to myself, I could actually start saying the opposite. Well, actually, it's unlikely things are going to go wrong. Things tend to work out. If the train I'm going on or the taxi I'm going on breaks down, we've allowed enough time that we can order another taxi. So I started reassuring myself. So consider that. I'm worried I may not be able to cope when I have the child. Okay? So what you're doing is you're focusing on one possibility. And obviously, I don't know, I'd need to know more about the situation. But just I want to share this general principle. We often focus on the negative possibility. We exclude the neutral possibility and the positive possibility. So one possibility is I may not be able to cope. And when you say to yourself, I may not be able to cope, that's going to make you feel stressed. What would it be like to say is, well, actually, I could cope okay. Actually, or I might cope really well. Okay? So, obviously, if I was working with you, there's much more work we do around that. But I just want to give you some little tasters. Write down all the negative things you're saying to yourself on one side of the paper. Write the opposite. Every time you start saying to yourself this, just check, what's the evidence for that? What could I be saying to myself? Because here's the thing. If we're stressing about the future now, it's affecting how we feel now, and it's affecting our future. So if I'm saying to myself, actually, it's possible I can cope. Now I'm starting to feel relaxed in this moment. And actually, both scenarios are made up. The future where I'm not coping, the future where I am coping, they're both made up. They're in my head, but they're affecting my physiology and biology right now. And that is affecting the healing path, whether we're going kind of downward, neutral, or upward. My invitation is for you to consider what you could be saying to yourself to help you be more regulated in this moment, to support your healing, so that it means that, in a week's time, 2 weeks' time, a month's time, that actually there is more robustness and resilience in your body. Okay? So, a couple more comments. Let's have a look. Traveling to new lands, new spirits, new laws, new electronic protocols. Yes, it is stressful. Reduce stress via knowledge. Not exactly right. Not sure what you mean by not exactly right. Maybe you're saying to yourself, what I'm saying to myself is not right. I walked someone through this last night. Oh, amazing. Okay, cool. So that's great. Yeah, we really have to pay attention to what we're saying to ourselves. Similarly, I remember having to I was giving a speech, best father of the bride speech at a wedding, and I noticed every time I thought about the wedding, my body would tense up. And so I wrote down, what are the 5 things I'm saying to myself? Maybe consciously, maybe subconsciously. I might mess up. I might look stupid. They might find my speech rubbish, etc. Then I wrote the 5 opposite. I might be good. Instead of my voice might be tight, my voice might be loose. I might be relaxed. I might do a really good job. Every time I noticed that stress and that I was saying to myself those negative things, I reminded myself of the other possibilities. And over the time, that just helped me feel more relaxed, so that when I stood up for the speech, I was 95% my normal, relaxed, confident self. And I was really happy with the speech I gave. It was about 5 minutes long, wasn't too long, and everyone gave me great feedback. So Kerry says thank you. You are very welcome, Kerry. So Shiria says, you cannot control the outcome, only prepare yourself emotionally for the possible outcomes you can imagine. So it's best to imagine a wide array of outcomes. Yeah, rather than just focusing on the negative, we can be aware of the other possibilities, and we can remind ourselves that that possibility is possible. So you could journal without judgment, as I said. You could write down some affirming messages for your future self, so that if you experience these strong sensations again, you've got some strategies written down. I have talked about creating a personal handbook in another video on my YouTube channel. It's quite recent, so check that out. I think it's in the live section. So this is where you collect strategies that you found useful, so you have them up your sleeve for when you need them. So check out that video. All right. It might be, you give yourself the reminder, I've been through this before and I made it through. I'm still here. This is a moment. We often forget when they're experiencing those strong sensations that we do come out of it. Okay, we get this kind of amnesia. So it's important to remind yourself, this will pass. This is for now. Okay. So finally, kind of point 6, embrace pragmatism. Remind yourself. So pragmatism is all about seeing the bigger picture, keeping things in perspective. Remind yourself, progress isn't linear. There are going to be ups and downs. And how we manage the good phases, as I was talking about earlier, i.e. not pushing yourself too hard when we're feeling good, and how we manage the challenging phases, is all part of the healing process. For example, if you keep booming and busting every time you feel good, that's slowing progress. If you keep stressing when you're experiencing strong sensations, that's slowing your progress. If you do the opposite, that's going to support your healing. So imagine if every time you felt good, you took a balanced approach. You approach things in a sustainable way, recognizing that you don't have to do everything at once. That's pragmatism. Trusting that you can go at a sustainable pace. That's pragmatism. Recognizing that nobody's perfect. That's being pragmatic. All of these things will help support your healing. So this increase in sensations aren't a sign that you're failing or that you're going backwards. They are a sign that you're human. They are an opportunity to learn something. They are an opportunity to grow. So if you're experiencing strong sensations, right now, just remind yourself, this is not forever, it's just for now. There is a way through this. You're not alone. Okay? There's many people who would be rooting for you if they knew you. Sure, I hope you've got people rooting for you. If not, join supportive Facebook groups. You're welcome to join mine, link below. So I'd love to know what's your takeaway from this video. Let me know in the chat. If this video helped you, do leave a like, a thumbs up, a comment, and subscribe. It really helps support the channel. If you'd like to join a group of people navigating this journey together, I have a Facebook group, link in the description. Before I finish, let me know in the comments from this video, what do you think those sensations are wanting to tell you right now? So thanks for watching. Shira's left a comment. Shiraya. Don't know if I'm saying your name right. I have a hard time reading my own writing. My judgments are typically benign. But I am cruel judge of myself, where I give others leniency. Okay, so there's a gap, and my invitation is to close the gap. I have made videos on self-compassion, etc. So check those out if you want. But think about that. What do you need to do? What's one thing you could do today to just give yourself a little bit more self-compassion? One thing I'd remind you is, I think you possibly have a belief that we should be kind to others, or we should be kind to people. And what I would say is, you are a people, okay? You are a person, so be kind. All right. I correlate the strong sensations with microwave activity from the local 5G towers. Okay, sorry to hear that. Okay, I won't get into kind of that. I think that I'm no expert on that and things you can do to maybe ameliorate that. But let's pause there. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your comments. I really appreciate it. If you like this video, as I say, do share with someone else. Dare to dream big dreams. Keep going. Keep taking small steps. Thanks for watching. Closing the app link. No, that was just more a general comment. That we need to identify where we are and think about what we can do to close the gap. So if someone's self-compassion score is 3 out of 10, what can you do to increase that to a 3.5 out of 10? Once you've hit 3.5, what can you do to get it to 4 out of 10? So I hope that gives you food for thought. I say thanks everybody for watching. See you in the next video. Bye for now.